Eshkalar, and there are reasons for that. My name is Eshkalar, wordsmith, so called because of the three major Eshkalars, three different continua. I was the one whose specialty was the creation and the breaking of magical wards. There are two other major Eshkalars, Eshkalar patternsmith and Eshkalar timesmith. And they are both far more powerful than I. Oh well, whip your moan. But neither one of them is nearly as stoned as your old pal Eshkalar. So there's something special about me that the others lacked. They're so much more rational and reasonable than your old pal Eshkalar. As a matter of fact, one of theirs, one of the other ones, is an archon of law because they wouldn't let chaos have the power of time travel. it's cheating universal lords. I tell you what, Doctor Who is right to be angry. So anyway, today I'm going to discuss the origins of, the purpose of, the reasons for, and the cycle of the soul. That's right, the human soul. You see, when universes are young, and also in places where universes aren't, and I'll describe those in a moment, there is a standing magical field. It's like the 27th quantum field, I think. It is populated by a gauge particle called the Kell. The Kell is an expression of a binding energy that we no longer can detect in our universe because the elements that released it as they broke down no longer exist. So we don't know what to look for. And the result is just stuff that we already understand and we attribute to more traditional causes. It's a thing. So then there's a thing, that's something to know. And then there are more magical universes, those are the younger universes, and there are less magical universes, those are the older universes. Just like there are more radioactive universes, which are the younger universes, and and less radioactive universes, and those are the older universes. See how that works? Yeah. The elements are unstable, and as they break down, they release their binding energies in the form of either either the breakdown, the particle cascades of the nuclear reaction, the fission reaction, or, in this case, the Kell release. That's right, it's part of the particle binding energies, the binding energies of the elements in question. These unstable elements that only last so long and then they break down, just like radionuclides do. And will eventually, our universe will have no radioactive elements left in it. They'll all be spent. And when our universe was younger, it had the elements that release magic when they break down. These are elements with extremely high nucleon counts for you physicists out there. Yeah, like there's Deminsk, Hecadium, Effodium, an increase of density and atomic number. And I think Deminsk is nucleon counts like 429 to 460 or something. And then Hecadium is nucleon counts in the very high 500s, early 600s. And then Effodium, which you should know from your reading, Effodium has got it's got binding energies in the I think the nucleon counts are around 680 to 700, something like that. They're really high. And these elements are unstable, just like uranium is unstable, just like other elements that are unstable will release their binding energies as they break down into smaller components, more stable components. So do these magical elements, Deminsk, Hecadium, and Effodium, break down into simpler materials as they break up, right? As they go through a process of reduction. In this case, they release at these high nucleon counts. They needed a different kind of energy to help bond them. The binding energies that we know in our universe today would not be sufficient to hold these elements stable long enough to make them effectual in a universe. They would be gone long before humans arose, so to speak. But instead, the younger universes have a tendency to be far more magical. And the older universes, of course, the magic has all broken down into simpler components and you would never know it was there. However, there is a thing that's created from Kells, from magical energy, that is unique to each individual as much as it might seem otherwise to you people that study movements and urges and tendencies and trends instead of individuals, you'll have a tendency to ignore the contributions of individuals. And that can lead to problems, just as focusing on individuals does not teach history. It teaches narratives, and that's not the same as understanding history. You need a good deal of psychology and cultural anthropology to understand history. Think it through. So anyway, a soul is like a snowflake, but made out of kells instead of water molecules. And it is a very simple construct, but it contains, in essence, the basic predilections of your personality. That's right. Not who you are, but who you could be. And it is incorporated into a body, and that body goes through a process we call life, right? Growth and decline and death. When that body dies, that little collection of kells that we call the soul has changed slightly over the course of that body's experience, mostly from the biggest stresses that affect it. But still, it has changed slightly. Its pattern has gone from being a unique snowflake to being another unique snowflake. It's not quite the same anymore. And when it's released from the body, which it will be upon disincorporation, it is floating into what's called, surrounds our universe, called the dreaming sea. It is a nascent astral plane. It is the bleed through of the real astral space into a more traditional universe like ours. Now, the soul will drift into the dreaming sea, and it will be caught by a thing called the astral undertow, and that will suck it from the dreaming sea into the astral tendril that connects a universe, that soul's universe, to the astral sprout. There are many tendrils, many universes extending from that astral sprout, and there are many astral sprouts. So the complete collection of all the different universes is called the myriad ways. And the ones along your sprout are very similar, except the ones closer to the base are newer, younger, and more magical, and the ones farther away from the base are older and less magical. True story. So, I have an illustration somewhere I'm not going to bother getting out because I've already discussed this all in detail. But I wanted to impress upon you the fact that the soul has a natural tendency to, upon disincorporation, to be sucked into the astral undertow, down the tendril, well, through the dreaming sea, down the tendril, into the sprout, down the sprout, and into the cosmic potato, from which all the sprouts erupt, like the eyes on potatoes. You know, each one sprouts in a root. It's the same way here. Each one sprouts a sprout. And those sprouts they're like ferns. They have thousands of tendrils coming from them. Say hundreds of thousands of tendrils from each sprout and thousands of sprouts. So there's a lot of universes attached to this cosmic potato. And these are just the ones that I know of. There are other states that some of the higher creatures that I'll discuss here know about that I don't, because I'm essentially immortal, even though I was for a while an icon of chaos. But that was by virtue of my possession of the ring, Bariznar, which was 1/13 of Ahura Mazda's power. And it was the part that had the personality. So, for a while there, I was immortal and almost invulnerable. Well, I'd be destroyed, but I would reincorporate quickly. Painful process, let me tell you. And I want to get back to what happens to a soul. So when that soul disincorporates from its body, it floats out into the dreaming sea. It is caught by the astral undertow and sucked down the astral tendril that leads to that universe, and then sucked into the astral sprout from which that universal tendril erupts, and then down that sprout toward the cosmic potato, which is the center of all existence. Yes, it's true. So, the soul gets to the base of that sprout. There's a thing called the baffles there, which I will describe, and I have described elsewhere, but I will describe again shortly. And then from those baffles it enters the skin of the cosmic potato. And that skin is a thick layer around the inner structure that's called the deep astral sea. In that, there are places that we would call heavens and hells. ultimate destinations. So if your soul belonged to a religious organization that has real presence in the astral plane, if your soul belonged to, or your body, of course, that the soul derives from, has an alignment toward a god or a power or even some kinds of philosophies, powerful ones, religions or philosophies. Science is a philosophy. Empirical science is a better philosophy than most science, but still, now they're using by inference. I'm not as fond of that as I am by concrete experimentation that I can see the results. Anyway, I think models can't be made complex enough to allow for all the variations, and so they're always going to be incomplete and lead people to think that processes are simpler than they really are. That is a bad way to think. It's not a bad way to teach, but it's a bad way to think. Ah, I know everything. So anyway, if that soul belonged to a religion, it will then be sucked by the astral undertow to whatever the plane of origin, to wherever the heaven or hell in which dwells its deity or its system is located in the outer astral, the deep astral sea it's called, which is the outer layer of the cosmic potato. If that soul does not have a god, a deity, if it has achieved a state that's you guys call moksha, but that's not the state yet. It's merely scrubbed clean, or does not have a charge that attracts it to one of the poles of the deep astral sea. It will fall right through the deep astral sea into the ethereal sea, which is a different medium in which are suspended vast energies, dichotomized energies that we would call the elemental planes if they really could be quantified. But they can't. It's just seething powers. And inside of that, the soul will go through the destinations, the ultimate destinations layer of the cosmic potato, the astral sea, deep astral sea. It will fall through the ethereal planes, the planes of cosmic archetypes, and pass through them like nothing, and then it will fall into the center of the cosmic potato, a little peanut area called Moksha. That's what Moksha is. It is the soul's return to the elementary power source that powers all existence. That soul, scrubbed clean, will now be recycled and sent back out as power to create a new cosmic sprout, a new universe at the end of a tendril, something. And it's only one of an unlimited number of souls, because there are literally an unlimited number of alternate universes, what we call the myriad ways. There are theoretically an infinite number of astral sprouts, and theoretically an infinity times an infinity times, a number of potential universes out there. And so there's a lot going on. So inside the cosmic potato are powers and energies that aren't just sufficient to our single universe, but to all the universes. And part of that is spiritual entities that aren't souls like we know them, that are affected by the astral undertow and can no longer resist it until they're sent back out again for whatever reason, or reincorporated in the moksha energy, and that is part of the creative energy and the generative urge of the universe is being created and the astral sprouts going out. But inside the deep astral sea, there are many, many, many disincorporated souls. Not quite like ours. They're from other entities, other distinct entities. And these are, in general, called demons, as opposed to daimon. There's a difference. But these demons are generally inimical to man. And they don't really like the idea that there are astral sprouts and astral tendrils and universes full of people that can achieve happiness and are not living in what to them is a torturous environment all the time. These demons in this outer astral sea are very uncomfortable, and they're in spiritual form, and they're unable to form a body, and they can't really get anything done, and they just kind of sit there and, grumble for thousands, millions, billions of years. They're very irritable. And sometimes these guys will get this idea in their mind. They will gain enough power in their in their meditative state, their vegetative state, to be able to struggle against the astral undertow, which sucks all souls down toward moksha or toward alignment planes. These guys are powerful enough to not be sucked into either of those locations, and that's why they're so mean. It's like they got nowhere to go, and so they will swim really hard. You spend an energy, and you know it's going to cost you, and you get up to where a sprout comes from, the cosmic potato, and there's a thing called a baffles there, and a spirit can't get through the baffles. So the demon has to be powerful enough to hover there, right where it's called the spirit line is, and then eat other nascent demons struggling to get out. And these guys are all eating each other and eating each other and eating each other. No jokes. And the strong ones get powerful enough to form a new body, a corporeal form. And then they become free of the astral undertow, and they can swim out into the astral sprout and choose a universe to infest. A universe that's infested with demons no longer exists on our plane. It is on our conception. It is now a burnt out husk where a universe used to be. It has destroyed and corrupted everything. So you don't want them demons getting out and forming bodies and getting out into the universes where they can possess mortals or create havoc in physical ways, right? Yeah, because that's why universes are destroyed before their time. All universes have a time span, you know. So in our universe, we're very lucky. The universe that we're in, that we share, is attached to an astral tendril that goes to an astral sprout that leads to a baffles in which creatures of great power on the edge of, and some of them cosmic level, entities have created a plug to keep the demons from getting out. Usually it's just a struggle. You go up there and then you eat a bunch of your buddies, then you're strong enough to get out of there if you're lucky, and that kind of keeps the numbers down, right? Because you need to eat a lot of your buddies before you're strong enough to form a body and go on. So that kind of controls the number of demons escaping out into the various astral sprouts that also sprout astral tendrils, at the end of which is the universe. And many of the other astral sprouts, there's no communication with them. They might be all destroyed because the demons got through because there wasn't friendly cosmic entities creating this plug. That plug for our universal tendril and astral sprout and baffles, that plug is called Yoming Shan, which is Mandarin for another world mountain, or the underworld mountain. And it is a place, an artificial construct, to which are sent the souls of Daimon. These are humans and heroes from other continua that are not demons, and they would do good if they were given new bodies. And they are sent by the cosmic powers to this plug, Yoming Shan, where they reincorporate at the spirit line. And those that are powerful enough. And the other ones don't go there. They go straight through their, eternal destinies or moksha. But the powerful souls, boom, they land on this rock called Yoming Shan. And because this rock is there, all these ancient heroes that died and they didn't quite die, they end up in Yoming Shan because they're too strong to be sucked through the baffles and by the astral undertow. And so they're on this rock, and the demons come up and they grab onto the rock, the underside of the rock, because it's easier to form a body there than it is to just struggle upward against the astral undertow all the time. Instead, you're on a planet, the astral undertow doesn't affect you. You can eat some of your buddies and grow a body, and you climb up the side, you climb up on top, and then you have to go up this mountain still to the very tippy top of that mountain. It's called Mount Sinai and Yoming Shan. And when you get up there, you're past the spirit line. You can form a new body and go. And so the heroes are locked in eternal combat with hordes of demons climbing up the walls of Yoming Shan to the surface. It's very much like a planet, a disk world. And this battle has been going on for billions of years. Yeah. And so the heroes in Yoming Shan, only a small percentage of them are human. They come from all kinds of different universes, and they are whatever that universe produced in the form of heroes. And our universe has produced several different intelligent races from which were derived Daimon heroes that have reincorporated on Yoming Shan. So Yoming Shan is not only an open world, though it's a finite planet. I have it mapped and everything, so I can show it to you if you want. I do it in another one of my videos. I discuss it quite in detail. But Yoming Shan, on the top of it, are the heroes and their constructs and their cities and their towers. And on the bottom of it, there's the nether peak where demons grab on and they like start climbing up, eating their buddies as they go until they get around the sides and all the way up the top. And then they have to fight their way through the heroes, climb Mount Sinai to the top where the astral ships come and go, and then form a body and go off into the astral plane where they can now infect the universe. How about that? And these heroes are there to stop them. They've been doing it for a billion years. Before that, demons had free run. If they were strong enough, they could get out into universes and take them over and become like unto gods. Not cosmic level deities, though. Cosmic level entities live in the cosmic potato, in the outer astral plane, or the deep astral sea as we call it, because that's the only place comfortable for them. Everywhere else is ugly, unpleasant. Huh? Yeah, that's why. That's why the gods don't walk down the street. That's why you don't see demons in groups assaulting planets. They haven't assaulted our planet because Yoming Shan protects our whole astral sprout and all the tendrils and all the universes that are like ours, where humans conform, where the physical laws are like ours. Yeah. And that's why Wild Bill is writing that series of novels about heroes of Yoming Shan. These heroes that are there to fight forever. And, there's nothing keeping them there except their desire to defend the universes. Because if they thought about it for a while, all these heroes, they're not dead anymore. They formed corporeal bodies when they landed on Yoming Shan. That is the difference between alive and dead. Do you have a corporeal body? You're alive. Do you not have a corporeal body? You're dead. And if you're dead, you get caught by the astral undertow and sucked right down. Unless you're very powerful and you can resist it a little bit, like these demons that force their way up. If you're a hero, you're trying not to fall. If you're a demon, you're trying to climb. And the heroes are strong enough to land on the top of Yoming Shan where they reincorporate. The demons that are strong enough grab onto the nether peak down there at the bottom of Yoming Shan and they climb up slowly. That's a cosmic level war. How about that? So that's what the soul is for. The soul exists as the return flow of all the energy going out from Moksha, the center of the cosmic potato. That energy is what drives the formation of new astral sprouts, from which erupt astral tendrils, from which form blossoms, buds, inside of which are dreaming seas, and in each dreaming sea there is a universe. Up here, universe. And the ones farther up, the universes farther up the astral sprout are less magical because they're older. And the ones farther down the astral sprout are more magical because they're younger. And that's magic, and that's the soul. And here's the ultimate why of the soul if you have a religion, because you now heard about the non-religious aspects. Now I'm going to address you guys that have a religion or a god that you worship or that you want to return to, right? You are imprinted with the mark of that deity. When you buy into its religion, you're imprinted with the mark of that deity. That puts a notch, like the tag they put on a steer, in your soul. That little combination of kells that's your unique potential personality. And that makes you, when you reach the cosmic potato, you will go toward that alignment place where your god or deity or religion center is in the outer astral plane, which is also called the deep astral sea. And there, that deity or his agent will pull out a reader and go oh, that soul, that kind of soul changed that much in universe number 472. The deity thereby learns something from your experience, your individual, unique experience, that it can't learn anywhere else. It makes you special. You should keep that to your heart. Now, then the deity says, okay, you learned that, you changed that. Okay, we're going to send you out again and send you to a new universe, to a new body, to a new existence. And over time, your soul becomes quite changed from the original soul because of all the lives it's passed through. Some souls grow simpler and simpler and simpler. Other souls grow more and more complex, depending on the basic personality structure of the person and the deities or religions it is attached to and the experiences that it goes through during corporeality. And at the end, many souls are scrubbed so clean that they fall right through to moksha. And that is the release from the cosmic cycle of rebirth. And it is also all of Christianity, all of Islam, all the other peoples of the book, all the other religions. Any existence is potentially possible sprouting from the cosmic potato. And any ultimate destiny is also possible inside the deep astral sea, the outer astral plane of the cosmic potato. Any deity can be there, call forth his or her souls, its souls. They come back to it. That soul changed that way from that universe. Let's send it to this one and see what happens. So you're special. You're unique. And that speciality, that uniquity, is your soul. And your soul is important. There are some things you need to know. The astral plane isn't a nice place. There are creatures that are not discorporate souls that exist in the astral plane. Some of them prey upon discorporate souls. Now, most souls go out and fall back, and go out and fall back, and go out and fall back, and they change a little bit each time. Except for the ones that fall through to moksha and become part of the essential energy that drives these processes. But there are creatures that are predators out there in the astral sprout and the astral tendrils especially. Mostly, they are surrounding a universe in its dreaming sea. Between the dreaming sea and the astral tendril, there is a boundary area called the astral shoals, where there are literal rocks and chunks of things. And predators hide on those, and scavengers hide on those, waiting to waylay the unwary soul after discorporation, when it's back to its essential potentials rather than a corporate entity that can make decisions. So, there are dangers as well. And there are rogue demons looking for something to eat on their way to a new universe. And you gotta be careful. Or simply because of the number of souls traveling, you are not statistically at risk. But if you're one of the souls that is consumed, I'll bet it matters to you a lot. Yeah, even if it's only 1 in a trillion, it's still a lot, because it's you. So that is the concept of the soul, the purpose of the soul, the reason for a soul, the cycle of the soul, and many other concepts. Magic, spiritual visitations, ghosts, all of them explained very simply. Look at all the time it's taken people to argue this stuff over. And all you had to do is ask your old pal Eshkalar, because he's been there. You get a better spin on somebody's country by asking a tourist that went there than you do by asking a history book that didn't. You know what I mean? But if you don't read the history book, you lack a thing called context. So there's a purpose for everything, and everything has a purpose. And Eshkalar has just explained to you how it all ties together. And I'm the only one that ever did that. Requires no faith.